Today we are meeting with Dr. Paul Idelevich, CEO of Prescient Health Solutions, to ask him some of your most frequently asked questions about CellRegenX. Now, CellRegenX is a supplement that has been taking the market by storm because it has proven to lengthen telomeres. Now, without getting too much into it, if you want to live a long, healthy, and thriving life, you want your telomeres long. So without further ado, let's jump into the frequently asked questions. So the first frequently asked question is, why do we age?
Aging is a very old evolutionary process. It probably starts when multicellular organisms start, so very billion years ago. Probably it's logical because for nature it's easy to let old organism which accumulate a lot of different mistakes and problems, to let it die, and this organism when it was young reproduce and produce new organisms. But it's not absolutely 100% right for all the biological life. There are some relative and non-relative exceptions. We can talk about that later.
Are there any exceptions in the biological world? Any animals that just simply do not age?
There are some, and they're very interesting. For instance, naked mole, it's some kind of mice which lives in Africa, and they live up to more than 30 years, 33, 44 years. And equivalent, like usual mice in ideal condition live just 2 years maximum. So if equivalent for humans is like to live 1,000 years. They doesn't get cancer. They're very resistant to oxygen deprivation. They can stay without oxygen 15 minutes. A very interesting argument. And another example is North Atlantic shark. They're probably the longest living vertebrate organism. They have a vertebra. They live up to 400 years. And the biggest exception is actually immortal jellyfish. It's one kind of jellyfish which is practically immortal. It just live, accumulate as any living organism, genetic and metabolical mistakes, disease, and then when the situation becomes to be critical, this jellyfish just come down to more primitive stage like polyp, and then return to adult stage. So they, instead of dying, then becomes to be baby again and come back to they're practically immortal. There are some few very interesting exceptions which tell us that aging, even be practically universal and looking like process we cannot stop or do something about that, we actually can.
Next frequently asked question is, what is a telomere?
The best example is our shoelaces. We have these plastic cups on the end of our shoelaces. If they gone, shoelaces also gone. So that's we have our human body, and each cell have 46 chromosomes, and each chromosome has like protective caps on both sides. That's has many functions, but two are most important. One function is actually to protect DNA. So the longer the healthy chromosomes protect the genes inside of the chromosome. And another function, it's neat when cells divide, when two cells come from the one cell, and each division, the chromosome becomes to be shorter. Telomeres becomes to be shorter. And one specific point, and that's one explanation why we age, when telomeres becomes to be critically shorter, cell cannot divide anymore. Becomes to be old.
Now, how does a CellRegenX restore and lengthen telomeres?
There are two mechanisms. One is enzyme dependent, which is enzyme telomerase, and another is telomerase independent mechanism. Telomerase enzyme are present only in actively dividing cells, like skin cells, like cells in our intestinal, for instance, and stem cells. So there we can activate the telomere, but in most cells of human body, this enzyme is not active at all. But how the CellRegenX can possibly increase rate of telomere in cells which doesn't have activity on telomere enzyme? That's other mechanism which is well known now for science, which is telomere independent telomerase elongation. CellRegenX worked at both.
Dr. Idelevich, the next question is, what is a mitochondria and what's its role in aging?
It's a power station of the cell, and to having functional, healthy mitochondria, young mitochondria, is probably very important, especially for neurodegenerative disorders like Parkinson or Alzheimer. That's one of the most important mechanisms in Parkinson, actually mitochondrial dysfunction. But it's a little bit controversial, because one of the drugs which knows to prolong life of most laboratory animals, and actually testing now in clinical trials for human longevity, which is metformin, an anti-diabetic drug, actually shut down mitochondria. But to cut the long story short, we do need healthy, functional mitochondria. That's good for prolonged life and for healthy aging.
All right, Dr. Idelevich, this is a good one. So how long does it take to restore a telomere?
In most of the patients taking CellRegenX regularly, 1 pill a day, we saw a significant elongation of telomeres in 2 months period. For instance, I'm taking CellRegenX almost 3 years. And in these 3 years, my telomeres is actually longer than it used to be 3 years ago. Biologically, in terms of telomeres, I'm younger than I used to be 3 years ago. And the later telomere is actually a very good marker of youth or aging, for instance. There are methods exist when you have a cell sample, by just measuring telomere length, you can pretty sure and pretty accurate say the chronological biological age of organism.
What are some of the effects that people will feel and see when the length of their telomere is restored?
Anything when your cells becomes to be healthier, functioning better, you probably can expect, and that's what most people report when they take CellRegenX, that you feel younger, you look younger, your cells are healthier, you can function better.
So the next question, Dr. Idelevich, is what is the role of chronic inflammation in the body and how does it make us feel?
We're talking about the people after age like 75 years old, 80 years old. The rate of telomeres becomes to be less predictive about how long a person will live. Actually, the chronic inflammation becomes to be much well predicting factors. And when we age, the chronic inflammation goes up. And it looks like, from modern point of view of science, that on advanced age, like 75, 80 years old, the chronic inflammation becomes the most critical factor, which can prolong longevity. And CellRegenX reduce chronic inflammation levels.
How does CellRegenX work?
So CellRegenX actually change the intracellular environment. We talked previously a little bit about that acidity and water balance and importance that for cell functioning. The CellRegenX change intracellular pH for slightly more alkaline. So it's restore the young environment of the cell, and that change all the parameters. What the cell is millions of different biochemical reactions, and all the reaction of pH sensitive, enzyme pH sensitive. So basically you change the whole function of the cell. The cell works. The DNA machinery, the functioning DNA machinery, also depends on change in pH. And even mitochondria, which we mentioned before, they actually produce energy by using the difference in acidity between two different compounds in mitochondria. So you affect the mitochondrial function also. So that's a mechanism.
What are the main benefits people will notice after taking CellRegenX?
Better level of energy, improving quality of sleep. You actually need less sleep, but you wake up more refreshed. Some people report better mental clarity and improvement of mood. You actually exercise more because you feel energy, you feel you want to do it.
Will CellRegenX help me with my skin problem?
What we know for sure from many different experiments, CellRegenX dramatically increase expression of one of the gene which goes, the expression goes down with the age, with collagen type 3. which is very important for how the skin looks like. So most people does report such kind of effects, and I do see from biological data, from scientific data, the scientific reason why it should happen.
Will CellRegenX make me look 20 years younger?
We're all different, so the effects can be slightly different from one person to another. I myself taken it more than 3 years, and I'm happy with that.
Will CellRegenX help ladies going through menopause?
We didn't do the clinical trial in this direction, but you possibly can expect some positive effects, because one of the ingredients of CellRegenX, the licorice, actually known to be positively affect side effects of menopause.
Is CellRegenX so powerful that will help to combat aging all by itself, or do we need to do things like exercise and eat healthy?
It's a very good idea to do it, because like if you're doing something good, it doesn't mean that you can do something bad. It will not counteract. So basically, if you taking CellRegenX, you're doing something good for health, but if you in the same time keep regular exercise, eat healthy, and keep healthy living, you actually make your body the best condition possible. Make your body happy.
Are there any age recommendations or restrictions for starting CellRegenX?
We generally recommend CellRegenX for people older than 18 years old. We don't recommend CellRegenX for children. We're not recommending CellRegenX for nursing mother or pregnant woman, or women who are planning to be pregnant in near future. Not because of any teratogenic effect, but just to keep everything on the safe side.
Will CellRegenX make me live longer?
Hopefully. Yeah, I'm myself taking CellRegenX for 3.5 years, so I believe and I hope that it will make me live longer. We cannot make such kind of claim. It is for small laboratory animals like C. elegans, for instance. They live 40% longer on CellRegenX, and I do have group of mice which getting CellRegenX for already 2 years. They reach the maximum age in optimal conditions, so any additional months will be actually tell that they live longer than usual mice. I give it to my mom, so I also hope that she will live longer, but we cannot make such claim right now.
So studies have suggested that stress ages people by shortening telomere length. Will CellRegenX help younger adults feel better and deal with stress?
Bad habits like smoking, for instance, or overeating, or not exercise, or bad environment like pollution in the air, living in a big city, or high level of stress, it's all shortening telomeres. And that's a very good idea to combat it with some kind of supplement like CellRegenX. I think it's the best.
And last but not least, can I give CellRegenX to my cat or a beloved pet?
I don't see why it can be harmful or make any harm to big animals like cat or dog, but I have no data. We tested in small animals like mice, and mice is completely happy, very happy.
So I hope Dr. Idelevich answered all your questions today, but if you have any further questions, please do contact us, and why not give CellRegenX a try?